Performance improvement. Yes, some improvements are observable from the practice that a human is doing, and some people do not have improvement as they do not practice as what is being expected or what the goal they are trying to achieve. You cannot say that there is any performance improvement if the practice is not leveling up or the level of the attainment of a certain skill is becoming steady or not increasing in its rate. For example, you are undergoing training in basketball and on the first day you are learning about how to dribble and pass the ball. In that particular task you are trying to achieve, of course, you have an expected time or period where you are expected to execute that skill in your most excellent way. But if you did not achieve the period of the time you are supposed to be proficient in doing that, there is no performance improvement. But if you have already accomplished that task before the deadline you set to yourself, there is an performance improvement. Consistency and stability. Peak performance is the goal for athletes, but the goal for elite athletes is to perform at their peak on a consistent basis. It's one thing to have a great time, play a solid round of golf, score a couple of goals in a game, run a personal best, or nail a gymnastics routine. But if you want to be a top performing athlete, you want to learn how to perform consistently. You should know that inconsistent preparation leads to inconsistent performances. So consistency is a matter of repeating those steps or repeating the process that help you perform at your peak. At your peak. So you need to perform your best and then construct when you're best with those times that you performed poorly. Persistence. Albert Einstein once said that it's not just I am so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. So the willingness to persevere to and that brings about a joy and satisfaction. I remember the story of my friend and his coach. The first her coach called her over, shared that he wanted to try hurdles. My friend had no clue what she was doing, but according to her, one statement that has stuck with her ever since that spring afternoon is, if you ever hit a hurdle, don't stop, keep running. She said she was curious and wanted to understand why, so she asked her coach. The coach replied that if you hit a hurdle, it will be your natural tendency to stop and look back. And when you do that, you will lose precious in time, the race. That simple act could determine whether or you win or lose the race. Effort. Often people put too much emphasis on the physical capabilities of an athlete when the mental skills they may have or lack are just critical to their success. It's as though they don't acknowledge the fact that mental skills are the ability to understand and work with other people are just as vital to your success as being able to run fast or step up of both feet or throw a long ball. Effort is hard to do if you are especially in hard times, but as long as we have put forth our best effort and work as a team or as an individual athlete, for example, that result can be accepted. The most important thing is to understand while winning always is prepared and more enjoyable. Losing does happen and is acceptable if the effort is good. Next is attention. Athletes are exposed to an infinite number of variables in competitive event. It's hugely important that athletes can focus only on the important things in order to achieve their objective. For example, in internal stimulus, it can include the athlete's thoughts and emotions, like how they predict other players' movements or maybe worrying that his or her play won't go as planned, and mostly fear of becoming the loser instead of winner. Another examples are the external stimulus such as weather, playing surface, taunts from competitors, or the most common, which is the noise from the crowd. For me, attention and concentration control must be one of the objectives to consider in any psychological training program, and an ability that must be refined by both athletes and trainers. Next is adaptability. My first example of this is about coaching. Developing the coaching adaptability allows you to understand how different types of athletes would like to be coached. It means adjusting your coaching style to be more in line with your athlete's preferences. The effectively adaptable coach meets the athlete's needs and their own. My second example is that for the players, the environment of the players where they are being trained is different from the environment when they are going to compete with other athletes. That is why it is important for them to learn how to adapt. And one of the ways they are learning adaptability is that when they doing the practice or training, they go to different sports venue or sports area or other courts that is not their own home court. What do you mean by that? So it means that it is not the environment they are used to play with, so they need to be used to other venues and sport or playing areas that is new to them so that they can know how to adapt during the competitions, because they don't know or they are not used to that kind of environment when they start to compete.